Today I'm continuing on with the mounting of the headlamps, and what I've done so far is made one temporary mounting bracket. That's this aluminium piece in here because it's easy to work with, and I'm just trying to get an idea of where I want the headlamps positioned. That temporary bracket lets me sort of bend it around and figure out where they need to go. And what I'm thinking on my car is normally you want the top of the headlamp here to be sort of in line with the top of the badge, the Austin badge on the radiator there. What I'm finding is because my car is so tall in the front, normally these big tall radiators are used on the saloon cars, so they're quite a bit taller car because of course they've got a roof. Often when people build specials like this, and sort of Ulster replicas, they'll take these radiator grills and cut them down. They want the shorter ones, but I've deliberately gone for a high nose look. So what I'm finding is if I mount the headlamps up so the top of these are level with here, they're actually look a bit too high. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to end up mounting them so that the center line of the lamp is more or less on the same center line as the side marker. So you can see it's about an inch lower, I think. Everything's sort of wobbling around, but you can see because that's aluminium, I can move things around. The positioning here I think is okay. This is the other thing I have to look at, is getting it lined up between the guard and the radiator surround. The other thing you have to look for is how far forward it is, because if it's too far back, when you close the bonnet, you'll be continually whacking into it. So often you see these lamps with a lot of dings in the back corner here where the bonnet corners have bashed into them. So to mount these, what I'm doing is drilling through my fenders here. I always wanted to do this anyway because I want to, let's sit down here, I wanted to bolt them hard to these brackets. So what I've actually done is made up some little spaces. These are machined from engineering plastic, I think it's nylon, and they take up the gap between the bracket and the guard. And to get the holes in the right place, I've made up this special bolt which I drilled through on the lathe, and that acts as a guide. If I can get it in there. So that's how I can drill through the support and get the hole in exactly the right place. So what I'll do is finish drilling that hole, and once I figure the positioning of this bracket, I think what I'm going to do is make another version of this, similar sort of thing, but the bend will be more here and it'll come up, and this will all live underneath here, so it won't be on top of the wing like this. And I can probably use these round head bolts on here to hold it all in place. I think that'll be the neatest way to do it. The other thing I was looking at was the wiring. So these are the wires for the side light. This is actually an earth strap, so I'll probably just terminate that to one of the screws that's holding the fender in place, the guard in place. This wire, I was going to run it up into the back of the headlamp and connect it inside here, but I don't really want another single wire running up inside this, so what I'm going to do instead is just run it down the back of the support where it's not seen and poke it through the little hole behind there that goes into the engine bay. This cable here will just run down the strap, and then it can sort of run down in there and back inside the car. I will probably make this bracket from something quite hefty, probably 5mm thick steel, because even in steel like this, it's gonna bounce around, and I may need to put little fillet pieces in the corners just to stiffen everything up, because you really don't want these rattling around too much. I have found that with my little spaces in there, the guards are far more rigid. They're really nice and lock solid now, so that's worked out well. I finished making up the little mounting brackets. I've got one of them on here now. In the end, I kind of got lazy and did it the simplest, neatest way possible. And I just made up these brackets from some 5mm steel strap. This is them here. It's two pieces welded together. The welds in here. I went and MIG welded it, and then I used the oxyacetylene just to heat everything up red and let it cool down to get any stresses out of it in case these crack. I was worried about vibrations on these and maybe they'll crack over time, but with a sandwich here of 3 pieces of the strap, these little plastic bits holding everything tight, and this bolted on in 2 places, this is pretty firm. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. So that's one side done. I need to bolt in the other side, and then I can put the lights on and see what they look like. Oh, my handle's dangling. When I went to fit the offside bracket, I found that the angle on this wasn't quite correct. Because the valances are at an angle like that, the bracket has to bolt onto that, but the support for the headlamp has to go straight. So you can see there's an angle on it. When I first made these, I heated this up, this whole section red hot, to put the twist into it, just using a big spanner like this. Now that it's all cooled down, it's actually not too bad to twist it again. Because it's already got the twist in there, adjusting it slightly isn't too tricky. So I just sort of put this on there and use that to apply leverage on it and twist it to where I need it to go. I have the lamps loosely in place now with the glass on them, but not with the bulbs in. That's going to take a little bit of fiddling. I may have too much gasket material in there to be able to clip them home, or it may just be that it's a bit too tricky to do it while they're sitting vertically on the car like that. So I'll look at that tomorrow probably. But those are the lamps on the car. They seem okay. I think they're going to need a little bit of tweaking, but they're more or less at the same height, more or less at the same, in the same position, I think. It's a bit tricky to tell. I really need to take it outside and see, but it's raining at the moment, so I can't really tell. These brackets are adjustable, of course. You can, there's a little bit of wiggle room on the holes in them, and I can adjust the bends and things in them to get this all to line up nicely. It doesn't help that my bonnet is lifting up just a little. It needs to be pulled down. That'll eventually have straps pulling it down tight. There's a little bit of spring in it still, but that just clears the back of them, so that's good. Height wise, I need some sort of stick. So, piece of wood, that'll do. It seems more or less level, and you can see there how the tops of the lamps are just under the top of the Austin badge. I let mine be down a little bit, and they're actually, the side markers are just above the center line off the lamps. So I can always play with it a little bit because these have big long threads on them, so it may be necessary. You can, if it's necessary, I can put spacers in here to lift them up. I can play around with it a bit now. The other thing I might do is drill a hole in the bracket, if you can see, in the base here, and run that cable down through a grommet. I think that would tidy that up. Then that can just poke through there and just disappear off through into there, and I don't need ugly cable ties or anything like that. I'll actually try and get the lamps themselves working tomorrow or during the week, I think. It's probably time to stop now, although now I've thought about drilling that hole, I may just quickly do that because that's not going to take too long to do. I wouldn't be able to sleep if I didn't just finish them off. So I drilled the little hole for the cable to go through and put a grommet in there. I really need to get some thicker grommets. These are only really for 3mm thick material. So I'll just get another couple of 1/2 inch 5mm thick grommets to go in there. And that kind of tidies everything up really well. I think I am missing something in the base of the lamps though. Let's see. You see it in under here. When I took these apart, there is a spring that goes in here somewhere, but those were all rusted away to almost nothing. So what I'm finding at the moment is it's actually quite hard to get these tight enough that they stay in place. It may just be a matter of really cranking down on this nut, but I don't want to do that just yet. I really want to get new nuts for these as well. I believe these are 7/16 BSF thread, I'm not sure, which is the one size of nut I don't seem to have. So I'll have to try and find something there. But overall, I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely tricky to tell without being able to get back far enough, and you can see how this lamp here is on the wrong angle because I can't get it tight. But yeah, I quite like how that looks. It doesn't look like a normal Austin 7, so, which is good. A little bit different. So tomorrow, hopefully, I can look at actually getting the reflectors and the bulbs in there. Then it's just a matter of plugging the wires in, and hopefully they should all work. The view from behind isn't too bad. Everything's pretty straight. But I think that's it for tonight.